A critical tool in much of economics is the understanding of factor markets. Understanding factor markets are particularly important because this is how economists analyze changes in income of factors. What do we mean by factors? Factors are inputs that are used in the production process. That's another way of saying labor or capital or entrepreneurial skill. These are all factors of production, and understanding the factor markets will allow us to understand how these things are affected when outside events change. So we'll first analyze how factor uses are determined and also the prices of those factors. And, not surprisingly, those prices will be determined by the supply and the demand for those factors in a competitive market. And once we understand how those prices for factors that are determined, we'll be able to analyze the incomes of those factors as a consequence of other changes. Some of those changes may be as a consequence of international competition, or changing tax policy, or changes in consumer demand, or even productivity of the underlying factors. So understanding the factor markets will be very important to understanding the income effects of these changes. In most simple models of economics, there'll be two factors that are analyzed. One is labor, which is paid a wage, or W, and also capital, which is paid a rent, or R. So we have the labor use and the capital or machinery use in the firm to produce final output. So let's first look at the labor side. We have a labor demand, and how much labor is demanded by a firm? Well, that depends on the benefit to the firm of hiring an extra worker. And that has two components: the amount the worker produces and the price of the product that the firm sells. In fact, it is the product of these two factors, the price times the marginal productivity of labor, that determines the benefit of hiring the extra worker. This product, price times MPL, gives the demand for labor in a competitive market. Now look at the cost side. This is quite easy in a competitive framework. The cost of hiring an extra worker is simply the market-determined wage. So now we can look at this interplay of the cost and benefit side to determine the equilibrium conditions for the labor market. In particular, the equilibrium condition is when wage equal the value of marginal product of labor, W equal MPL times P. That is to say, where the marginal benefit of hiring the worker equals the marginal cost of hiring the worker. You can also think about the situation where the wage exceeds the price times MPL. Then the firm would find it preferable to hire fewer workers. If the wage is less than the value of marginal product of labor, then the firm should hire more workers. And there's an analogous condition for the capital market, where the equilibrium condition is R equal to P times MPK. We can now link the factor markets to the overall condition for the firm. For the competitive firm, where there's zero economic profits, the revenue, P times Q, equals the total cost of hiring labor and capital.